I'm gonna play a video for you guys so that we just kick it off with the new handoff that just happened, and that's happening today. All right? Let's go here first.
As the next chair of the Federal Reserve, Emily Wilkins is on Capitol Hill. Emily?
Hey, Kelly. Well, yes, the Senate wrapping up. Warsh is confirming him to both to the Fed board and as Fed chair before that May 15th deadline. That means he is in place now. It is, as we expected, fairly smooth sailing. All Republicans voting for Warsh. They were joined by one Democrat, John Fetterman. All other Democrats voted against. We should know, in terms of a Fed chair, this has been a pretty partisan process. It's not something we've historically seen when it comes to the chair, but obviously given the partisan atmosphere up here, as well as concerns about Fed independence, did lead a lot of Democrats to vote no. But despite that opposition, Warsh has now been voted in by the Senate and confirmed. And of course, there's a lot more analysis about what that is going to mean. But for at least for now, we can say that the action is done on Capitol Hill.
The Fed handoff has happened. Powell he exits with the highest CPI print since May 2023, 3.8%. Inflation is rising. And here's a number that matters for your paycheck. Real wages went negative for the first time in 3 years, down 0.3% year over year. I want you to read that one more time and listen to that one more time. Your paycheck after inflation is buying less than it did last year. For the first time in 3 years, Bank of America is now saying no rate cuts until July 2027. That's a prediction by Bank of America looking at the old ways of doing things. Okay. Goldman Sachs even agrees. And both of them have floated that the next Fed move could be a rate hike to cool the inflation. Okay. Pretty interesting, huh? Well, why does that matter for your career? Higher rates for longer means capital stays expensive. And expensive capital means companies keep cutting headcount and keep pouring a whole bunch of money into AI. If you are in a rate sensitive job, mortgage banking, private equity, real estate, construction admin, that is a warning sign. If you are in AI infrastructure, defense builders, energy, that is a green light. But here's where it gets interesting. This article from CNBC posted at 4 a.m. Eastern this morning is going to tell you something interesting. Okay, this is the article right here. Defense stocks continue to come under pressure. Why Citi is reluctant to buy the dip. Okay, let's read the data here. The iShares U.S. Aerospace and Defense ETF, okay, is down 10% since early March, while the S&P 500 went up 8.6% in the same period. So even during a war, defense services stocks fell. Now, why? Why would defense services stocks fall amongst a war? Antoine, you've been talking about on this show, defense is where it's at. Well, go and get yourself some jobs in the defense sector. Why would it fall? Well, according to the article and according to Citi, the anti-defense services AI narrative is only getting louder. Anti-defense AI narrative, AI services narrative is only getting louder. Listen close to this, okay? I've been telling you defense is a safe harbor. Anduril, Cerebrus blowing out, Palantir crushing it. That is still true. And that is true for the builders. But the legacy defense services side, so the big contractors, the slow software, the paper pushing coordinator roles, the market is treating them the same way it is treating the legacy SaaS companies. And that is the honest take. The builder side of the defense, the builder side of the defensive sector is still crushing it, still winning. The coordinator side of defense is getting hit. I want you guys to type Warsh in the chat if you have watched Kevin Warsh become the new Fed. Type Warsh in the chat if you have high expectations for Warsh. Okay, type Warsh in the chat if you are watching what changes that he's going to make within the next 90 days. Now let's talk about Trump and President Xi in China. All over the news cycle on yesterday. All over the news cycle. I saw all kinds of good videos, handshakes, kids, doing the President Trump clap. Beautiful. beautiful ceremony that they had. Trump and Xi wrapped up their conversations in Beijing this morning. Early morning, right? It's nighttime over there, but they wrapped it up this morning, okay? Let's go to a CNBC little video right here. Let's go here real quick and get some insider info on what all happened.
Interview this morning and saying that China's Xi is all business, no games. Are the foundations being laid now for a more stable relationship?
Well, look, it's all about stability. And both sides, since the truce they reached last October, are trying really hard to keep that stability in place, in check. And it's been difficult, and both sides have tested this stability. But I'm optimistic that there is a top-level commitment to a stable relationship. And as you mentioned, China now is calling it something new with some new words, constructive stability or constructive strategic stability. Whatever you call it, each side has an interest in stability right now. This doesn't mean we're going to become best friends, but it means we're going to coexist. We're going to try and lessen frictions and find areas where we can work together while using the time to de-risk in critical and sensitive sectors.
We also know President Trump as being very transactional and business first. He brought with him top businessmen in his delegation. They were on display at the state dinner. There was Elon Musk taking selfies with a number of the Chinese delegation. Elon Musk also being approached by Lei Jun of Xiaomi. This is a big smartphone maker in China. There was also a mention about Visa, and they're looking for a license to operate in China. In terms of the business deals, what are you hearing? What are you seeing?
Well, not being there, I'm not hearing a lot right now, but I know a number of these businesses, some are doing well in China, but some have some serious market access or regulatory issues, or as you mentioned, visa issues. So I'm sure in their meetings in China with Trump, but without Trump as well, they're doing.
Let's stop it right there. Okay, she wasn't there in China. So she's talking about what she knows and what the news reports, just like we are over here. But here's what came out. Okay, here's what came out from that meeting that happened in Beijing. Number one, China agreed to buy 200 Boeing planes. That is less than the 500 that the analysts expected, but 200 is a massive number. But it is more than the 150 that Boeing itself expected. So guess who won on that one? Boeing won, but not as big as the headline said. Okay. Number two, NVIDIA, CEO Jensen Huang. Okay. He got the green light to sell their H200 chips to major Chinese tech companies. That is a big win for NVIDIA. Now, a lot of people are pushing back on this one, saying we should not be selling that sort of technology in China because we are in a race for the best in AI. Well, the H2 isn't the latest and greatest models of the NVIDIA chips, okay? But that's a good win for NVIDIA, a big win for NVIDIA. Earnings come out on next Wednesday. Number three, China agreed to buy U.S. oil. Okay, from Texas, from Louisiana, and from Alaska. Guess what happened to oil? Oil jumped up to $104 a barrel. And Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, he told CNBC, China will work behind the scenes to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz. So President Xi is coming to the U.S. in September. Okay. So what does this mean for your career? The AI build out you are being cut for just got a 3-year geopolitical green light. The capital is flowing. The chips are flowing. And the rate environment keeps the pressure on companies to cut humans and add machines. I want you guys to type signal in the chat if you see the flow. Type signal in the chat if you are collecting the data, understanding the data, and you see the flow. Now, quick pause here. If everything that I just said gave you a little bit of anxiety, maybe woke you up, maybe enlightened you, if you are watching and thinking, my company could do this on Monday, I want you guys to stop right there. Stop right there and grab the 2026 Career Protection Playbook. It is free, $0. It tells you your AI risk zone. the 5 skills that actually matter in 2026, and a 30-day quick start action plan and a weekend action plan with 5 specific moves that you can run this weekend. And when you grab the playbook, guess what also you get? You also get the Daily Climb newsletter sent to you Monday through Friday in your inbox. Everything that we cover on the show delivered straight to you every single weekday. That is nextgenheights.com. Link is in the description, okay? What is the saying for 2026? The professionals who survive 2026 are not waiting for permission. They are building career insurance, and they are doing it right now. I want you guys to type playbook in the chat, and Brother Cam, Lieutenant Cam, sitting in Thailand, having a good time this evening, will drop the link in the chat. All right.